Real mayonnaise has 3 ingredients: egg yolk, oil, and acid. That's all it takes to make a thick, creamy emulsion. So why do supermarket jars come with ingredient lists that wrap around the label? Stabilizers, modified starches, thickeners, flavourings, all in something that should be simple. Because most of what's being sold isn't real mayonnaise. It's an imitation, priced like the real thing. These brands get away with it because shoppers trust the front label and never check the back. In the next few minutes, I'll break down 8 fake mayonnaise brands in the UK, what's actually in those jars, the 3 brands you should buy instead, and how to spot a fake in seconds. Let's start with one that might be sitting in your fridge right now. Number 8. Tesco Stockwell and Company Mayonnaise. This is Tesco's budget range, designed for people trying to save money on their weekly shop. The jar looks similar enough to proper mayonnaise, costs about £1, and sits right there in the condiments aisle next to the real stuff. It's positioned as an affordable alternative that lets you stick to your budget without sacrificing the essentials, and millions of people buy it thinking they're making a sensible financial decision. The problem here is that Tesco Stockwell mayonnaise has an absolute cheek calling itself mayonnaise. Water is the first ingredient, not oil. Then you've got rapeseed oil at just 25%, followed immediately by glucose fructose syrup as the third ingredient. Real mayonnaise doesn't have sugar syrup anywhere near the recipe. It's egg yolk and oil. That's it. Then there's modified maize starch acting as a thickener because there's not enough oil to create a proper emulsion, xanthan gum and guar gum as stabilizers, and pasteurized egg yolk at a measly 2%. Compare that to proper mayonnaise where egg yolk should be around 8 to 10% minimum. You know that weird, slightly sweet taste you get from cheap mayonnaise, like it's trying too hard to be something it's not? Like it's neither tangy enough to be proper mayo, nor substantial enough to coat your sandwich filling properly. That's what happens when you're eating watered-down rapeseed oil, held together with thickeners and sweetened with glucose syrup. It slides off your bread, separates in your potato salad, and leaves this odd chemical aftertaste that lingers. And here's the thing that really takes the biscuit. This isn't even cheaper when you consider what you're actually getting. You're paying for a jar that's 75% water, starch, and gums. The actual mayonnaise ingredients make up less than 1/3 of the product. You'd be better off buying proper mayo and using less of it. Number 7. Asda Just Essentials Mayonnaise. This is Asda's value range, rebranded from what used to be called Smart Price. It's marketed to families on tight budgets, students, pensioners, anyone who's watching every penny at the checkout. The bright yellow label screams budget friendly, and the price point makes it look like a no-brainer when you're trying to feed a family without breaking the bank. And people grab it off the shelf thinking they're being financially savvy. The problem here is that Asda Just Essentials mayonnaise is barely mayonnaise at all. Like Tesco's version, water dominates the ingredients list. You've got rapeseed oil at around 20 to 30% maximum, modified starch to bulk it out, stabilizers to stop it separating, and preservatives to give it an unnaturally long shelf life. Real mayonnaise made from proper ingredients would split and separate within days without stabilizers. This stuff sits in your fridge for months looking exactly the same as the day you bought it. That should tell you everything you need to know about what's actually in the jar. You know that slightly plasticky texture cheap mayonnaise has, like it's coating your mouth but not in a pleasant way, like it's too thick to be a sauce but too thin to be proper mayo, and it leaves this weird film on your tongue. That's what happens when you're eating industrial thickeners and stabilizers pretending to be an emulsion of egg and oil. Your body knows it's not real food, and the manufacturers know exactly what they're doing. They're targeting people who can least afford to waste money on fake products. They're selling water and thickeners at mayonnaise prices to families who think they're saving money when they're actually getting ripped off. Number 6. Miracle Whip. Now, Miracle Whip isn't technically sold as mayonnaise in the UK, it's labelled as a dressing. But that hasn't stopped it appearing in British supermarkets and confusing shoppers who think they're buying a mayonnaise alternative. It's been around since the Great Depression in America, created as a cheap substitute for real mayo when people couldn't afford proper ingredients. And that Depression-era formula is still what you're getting today. The problem here is that Miracle Whip is made from soybean oil, high fructose corn syrup, vinegar, modified cornstarch, and a cocktail of flavourings and preservatives. The egg content is minimal. The sugar content is massive. This isn't mayonnaise, it's sweetened salad cream pretending to be something more substantial. The manufacturers even had to fight with the FDA in America because Miracle Whip doesn't meet the legal definition of mayonnaise. It doesn't have enough oil, it has too much sugar. It's fundamentally not the same product, so they call it a dressing to get around the regulations. But the marketing and placement in shops makes people think it's interchangeable with mayo. You know that sickly sweet taste Miracle Whip has, like someone dumped sugar into mayonnaise and thought it was an improvement? Like it's trying to be tangy, but the sweetness overwhelms everything else, leaving you with this cloying aftertaste. That's the high fructose corn syrup overpowering what little egg and oil are actually in there. Real mayonnaise should be savoury and rich, not sweet. And here's what makes this particularly grim. Miracle Whip has been marketed as healthier than regular mayonnaise because it's lower in fat. But that's only because they've replaced the oil with water, cornstarch, and sugar. You're not getting a healthier product, you're getting a cheaper product with less nutrition and more additives, marketed as an upgrade. Before we move on, let me ask you something. How many jars of mayonnaise have you bought on autopilot, assuming it was basically oil and eggs, only to find out later it's padded with water, cheap seed oils, and preservatives you can't pronounce? That's the whole reason this list exists. Most people in the UK keep buying the same brands out of habit, never once flipping the jar around to see what they're actually eating. And the worst ones aren't the cheap options either. Some of the biggest names hide behind words like real, classic, and since 1993. If you've been buying the same mayonnaise for years out of routine, don't tune out yet. The brands coming up next make the earlier ones look almost honest by comparison. And when we hit the top 3, that's where the marketing tricks get insane. If someone in your house still thinks all mayonnaise is basically the same, send this their way. One label check could change what ends up on their plate. Number 5. Hellmann's with olive oil. Walk down any UK supermarket aisle and you'll see this jar with olive oil prominently displayed on the front label. It's positioned as a premium, Mediterranean-inspired alternative to regular mayonnaise, appealing to health-conscious shoppers who've read that olive oil is better for you than other vegetable oils. The branding suggests you're getting something more authentic, more wholesome, and people pay extra for it, thinking they're making a healthier choice. The problem here is that with is doing an enormous amount of heavy lifting on that label. The word with is printed in tiny font compared to olive oil. Most people see olive oil and assume that's what the mayo is made from, but flip the jar around and read the ingredients list. You'll find that this mayonnaise is primarily made from rapeseed oil and soybean oil. Olive oil is there, but it's a minor ingredient, nowhere near the main component. This is textbook misleading marketing. Hellmann's knows that consumers associate olive oil with health and quality, so they've added just enough olive oil to legally claim it's in there, then plastered it across the front label in large letters while burying the truth in small print on the back. You know that slightly bitter chemical taste this olive oil mayonnaise has, completely different from the peppery, fruity notes of actual olive oil. Like it's trying to taste Mediterranean but falling completely flat? That's because you're tasting rapeseed and soybean oil with a token splash of olive oil thrown in for legal reasons. Your taste buds aren't being fooled even if the packaging is trying to trick you. And here's the real kick in the teeth. You're paying a premium for this. Hellmann's with olive oil costs more than their standard mayonnaise. You're literally paying extra money for the privilege of being misled. Number 4. Morrisons Savers mayonnaise. This is Morrisons' budget range, aimed squarely at shoppers who are counting every penny. The yellow and white packaging is deliberately basic, signalling low prices and no frills. It sits on the bottom shelf next to the other value ranges, promising to help you stretch your budget further while still putting food on the table. And families buy it by the jar, thinking they're making their money go further. The problem here is that Morrisons Savers mayonnaise follows the exact same formula as every other fake budget mayo in the UK. Water as the primary ingredient, minimal oil content somewhere between 20 and 30%, modified starch to thicken it up, stabilizers to keep it from separating, preservatives to give it a shelf life longer than some relationships, and barely enough egg to legally call it mayonnaise. What you're actually buying is a jar of thickened flavoured water with a bit of cheap rapeseed oil mixed in. Real mayonnaise is an emulsion, a delicate balance of egg yolk slowly incorporating oil to create something thick and luxurious. This is industrial food science creating something that looks like mayonnaise whilst using as little real ingredients as possible. You know that runny, disappointing consistency where it slides straight off your sandwich and pools at the bottom of your plate? Like it's got no body, no substance, and definitely no richness. That's what happens when the main ingredient is water, not oil. Mayonnaise should cling to your food, should coat ingredients properly, should add richness. This stuff just makes things wet. And Morrisons is part of a bigger problem here. They're profiting from financial hardship by selling substandard food to people who can't afford better, all while positioning it as helping you save money. It's exploitative. Number 3, Hellmann's Light Mayonnaise. Coming in at number 3, and this is where it gets properly grim. Hellmann's Light Mayonnaise. Hellmann's is the biggest mayonnaise brand in the UK, trusted by millions, with that iconic blue ribbon logo that's been around for over a century. When they launched their light range, it was positioned as the solution for people who love mayonnaise but want to cut calories and fat. The marketing suggested you could have all the flavour and creaminess of real mayo with a fraction of the calories, and health-conscious shoppers bought it in droves thinking they were making a better choice. The problem here is that Hellmann's Light is an absolute masterclass in food industry deception. To make mayonnaise light, you have to remove the oil because oil is what makes it caloric, but oil is also what makes it mayonnaise. So once you've removed most of the oil, you're left with basically nothing. The solution? Replace it with modified cornstarch, cream powder, citrus fibre, guar gum, xanthan gum, and mustard flour. The egg content drops from almost 8% in regular Hellmann's to 1.5% in the light version. You've gone from a product that's recognisably mayonnaise to something that's mostly water, thickeners, and fibres designed to mimic the texture of mayo without any of the actual ingredients. You know that weird, slightly slimy texture light mayo has, like it's trying desperately to be creamy but instead feels artificial and gloopy? Like it coats your mouth in an unpleasant way that regular mayo doesn't? That's the industrial thickeners and gums doing their best to impersonate an oil and egg emulsion. Your tongue knows the difference even if the manufacturers hope you won't notice. And here's what makes this particularly cynical. These healthy light versions often cost the same as or more than the full fat versions. They contain significantly cheaper ingredients, water and thickeners cost pennies compared to oil and eggs, but you're being charged the same price. The manufacturers are literally making more profit by giving you less food and more additives, all whilst marketing it as doing you a favour. If you want fewer calories, use less proper mayonnaise. Don't buy a jar of thickened water and pretend it's the same thing. Number 2, Heinz salad cream. Heinz salad cream has been in UK fridges since 1914. It survived 2 world wars. It's part of the national culinary identity. It's what your nan puts on her ham sandwiches and what appears at every family buffet. When Heinz threatened to discontinue it in 2018 and rebrand it as sandwich cream, there was a national outcry. Campaigns to save it, celebrities defending it, It's that beloved, and millions of British people use it thinking it's a legitimate alternative to mayonnaise. The problem here is that Heinz salad cream isn't mayonnaise. It never was. It was created during the First World War as a cheap substitute for mayonnaise when proper ingredients were being rationed for the war effort. Heinz took the concept of mayonnaise, stripped out most of the expensive oil, replaced it with vinegar and water, added sugar to mask the sharp taste, then thickened it with modified corn flour. What you're eating is wartime austerity food that never got upgraded when rationing ended. The ingredients list reads like a chemistry experiment. Water, spirit vinegar, rapeseed oil at just 22%, sugar, mustard powder, modified corn flour, pasteurized egg yolks at a pathetic 3%, salt, and riboflavin for colouring. You know that sharp, vinegary tang salad cream that's completely different from the rich, eggy taste of proper mayonnaise, like it's trying to be tangy and creamy at the same time, but ends up being neither, just this weird, sweet and sour combination? That's because you're tasting vinegar and sugar held together with thickeners, not an emulsion of egg yolk and oil. It's fundamentally a different product pretending to occupy the same space as mayonnaise. And here's the thing that really highlights the con. Heinz also sells actual mayonnaise in the UK. They know the difference. They know salad cream isn't mayo, but they've positioned salad cream right next to mayonnaise on supermarket shelves. They've marketed it for the same uses, sandwiches, salads, chips, and they've let British consumers believe for over a century that salad cream is just the British version of mayonnaise. It's not. It's cheap wartime substitute that should have disappeared when rationing ended, but instead became so embedded in British food culture that we've never questioned what's actually in it. Number 1. Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. And at number 1, the biggest fake mayonnaise in the UK, Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. The word real on the jar looks reassuring, but it's pure marketing. Hellmann's uses it to separate itself from egg-free and plant-based spreads that legally can't be called mayonnaise. It's there to win shelf battles, not to promise quality. That label has worked. British shoppers widely see Hellmann's as premium and authentic. The ingredient list tells a different story. The main ingredient is rapeseed oil, making up roughly 78% of the UK recipe. This isn't a high-quality oil you'd choose at home. It's industrial rapeseed oil, extracted using high heat and chemical solvents to keep costs low. Water comes next, which already signals a problem. Proper mayonnaise is an emulsion of oil and egg yolk, not a watered-down sauce. Hellmann's contains free-range egg and egg yolk at under 8% combined. That's a long way from traditional mayo, which relies heavily on egg yolk for texture and flavour. Then there's calcium disodium EDTA, a synthetic preservative used to lock in colour and extend shelf life far beyond what fresh mayonnaise could achieve. Add vague natural flavourings, and you're left with a product engineered to taste acceptable despite cheap base ingredients. That slightly metallic, processed aftertaste people notice compared to homemade mayo comes from those additives compensating for low egg content and diluted oil. What seals Hellmann's spot at number 1 is the price. A 430 ml jar often costs close to £3. You're paying premium money for rapeseed oil, water and preservatives. Owned by Unilever, this isn't a small producer focused on quality. It's a multinational that has dominated the UK market so thoroughly that many people now think this is what real mayonnaise tastes like. And that's the real success of the brand. If you want actual mayonnaise instead of thickened water and chemicals, here are 3 brands worth buying. Number 1, Hunter and Gather. This British brand makes mayonnaise with either 100% olive oil or 100% avocado oil. No rapeseed, no seed oils, no blends, just British free-range egg yolk, oil, apple cider vinegar, and pink Himalayan salt. 4 ingredients total. That's what mayonnaise should be. The texture is proper, thick and creamy because it's actual emulsified fat, not water held together with thickeners. You can taste the quality immediately. It doesn't have that weird chemical aftertaste or that synthetic smoothness you get from seed oil mayos. It costs around £5 for 250 grams. Which sounds expensive until you remember Hellmann's is charging £3 for 430 millilitres of rapeseed oil and water. You're paying more, but you're getting actual food. You'll find it in Waitrose, Planet Organic, independent health food shops, and online. Hunter and Gather specifically markets to people following paleo or keto diets, but you don't need to be on any special diet to appreciate that they're just making mayonnaise properly. Number 2. Bayona Organic Olive Mayonnaise. This British organic brand makes mayonnaise with cold-pressed olive oil and organic free-range eggs. It's crafted in small batches and contains no refined sugar, no artificial preservatives, and no seed oils. The ingredient list is transparent: organic olive oil, organic eggs, organic vinegar, organic mustard, salt, and organic lemon juice. That's proper mayonnaise. The texture is rich and creamy because it's made with actual olive oil and real eggs doing the emulsification work, not water thickened with modified starch. It has a slightly more robust flavour than bland supermarket mayo because olive oil actually tastes of something. The organic certification means no GMO ingredients, no pesticide residues, and stricter controls on processing methods. Available in Waitrose, Holland & Barrett, Planet Organic, and independent health food shops across the UK. It costs around £3 to £3.5 for 230 grams. Yes, it's more expensive than Hellmann's, but you're getting certified organic ingredients, cold-pressed oil, and proper egg content instead of water and preservatives. Bayona is a legitimate organic food company that's been operating since 1978, with full traceability on their ingredients. Number 3. Tracklements. Rich and creamy mayonnaise. This is properly British, handmade in small batches in Wiltshire by a certified B Corp company. It's made with sunflower oil, 9% Dijon mustard, free-range egg yolk, cider vinegar, salt, lemon, and free-range egg white. 7 ingredients total. No water listed first, no modified starch, no editor, no thickeners, just actual mayonnaise made the way you'd make it at home. Tracklements has been around since 1972. They introduced the UK's first whole grain mustard, so they know what they're doing when it comes to condiments. The texture is thick and glossy. It holds its shape on a spoon. It doesn't separate or turn watery when you spread it. That's because it's emulsified properly with actual egg, not held together artificially with gums and starches. It costs around £3.50 for 245 grams. Available in Waitrose, independent farm shops, and online at their website. If you want British-made, ethically produced real mayonnaise without the premium price tag of imported brands, this is your option. I get it. This probably feels like I've just ruined mayonnaise for you. Years of grabbing the same jar without thinking, and now suddenly everything you've been buying is fake. But you're not powerless here. The mayonnaise aisle doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a food science degree. You just need to develop a quick scanning habit that takes 10 seconds per jar. Pick up the jar, turn it over, look at the ingredients list. If water is listed first, that's your immediate clue it's not real mayonnaise. Real mayo is at least 70% oil. Water shouldn't even be in the top 3 ingredients, and honestly, it shouldn't be there at all in proper mayo. Now scan for thickeners and stabilizers. If you see modified starch, modified maize starch, xanthan gum, or guar gum, that's them bulking out cheap ingredients with additives to fake the texture. If you see calcium disodium, EDTA, That's a preservative added because the product is so processed it needs chemicals to stop it going rancid. Real mayo doesn't need EDTA because proper ingredients don't break down the same way. Check the oil. If it says rapeseed oil, you know it's cheap, industrially processed seed oil. If it says vegetable oil without specifying which vegetable, that's usually code for whatever's cheapest that week. Rapeseed, soybean, canola, all heavily processed. Real mayo lists the actual oil: olive oil, avocado oil, sunflower oil, specific, transparent. Now look at the egg content. Does it say whole egg, free-range egg yolk, pasteurized egg? Or does it just say egg buried halfway down the ingredient list at 3%? That 3% figure is your warning. Real mayonnaise is mostly oil and egg. If egg is only 3%, you're eating thickened rapeseed oil, not mayo. Compare 2 jars side by side, pick up Hellmann's. Ingredient 1, water. Ingredient 2, rapeseed oil. Ingredient 3, spirit vinegar. Then modified maize starch, sugar, salt, free-range egg yolk at 3%, and calcium disodium EDTA. That's not mayonnaise, that's water and oil held together with starch and preserved with chemicals. Now pick up Hunter and Gather. Olive oil, British free-range egg yolk, apple cider vinegar, pink Himalayan salt. 4 ingredients. All food. That's the difference. The texture test works too. Real mayo is thick and creamy because it's emulsified fat. Fake mayo is smooth and uniform because it's thickened water. Real mayo has body. It sits on your food. Fake mayo spreads thin and watery. Real mayo tastes rich. Fake mayo tastes like nothing with a weird chemical aftertaste. Once you know what to look for, spotting fake mayo takes seconds. You'll walk past entire shelves without needing to pick up a single jar because you'll recognize the brands that always use water, starch, and rapeseed oil. You'll head straight for the small section with proper ingredients and actual food. And here's the final thing. These fake mayos exist because most people don't read labels. They exist because companies realized they could cut costs massively by replacing expensive ingredients with cheap fillers and nobody would notice. Don't give them that power anymore. Real mayonnaise exists. You just need to know where to look and what to avoid. So what do you think? Have you been buying these fake mayonnaise brands for years thinking you were getting the real thing? Are you shocked by how much water and starch you've been eating? Drop a comment below because I want to know which brand you're throwing out first. And if this video just saved you from buying thickened water at mayonnaise prices, share it. Send it to anyone still grabbing Hellmann's on autopilot. Your mum, who swears by salad cream. Anyone who deserves to know what they're actually spreading on their sandwiches.